Hi guys, welcome to this tactical video. Something a bit different to usual because I am doing one on the Tau Empire, and this isn't going to be a common thing for me particularly, unless there's any call for it. But yeah, I play Tau as well, and I'm not going to be doing that many tactical videos related to them purely because there's already a lot out there already. But one of the things, well, let's say also, I run an orthodox list, so it's kind of hard to give advice on a lot of stuff when I don't actually play them. But one of the things that I've noticed is that there's a particular character that no one pays attention to, and if you've seen the title of this video, you know who it is. It's Aun'shi. Aun'shi is an ethereal, much like the others. However, he's kind of a weird black sheep in the Tau Codex, because in a codex that's purely focused on shooting for the most part, Aun'shi is a infantryman designed for close combat, effectively. Obviously, he doesn't get much use. The other drawback he has is that he's 110 points, which means he's even 10 points more than Onvar, who's the super space poke guy, and of course he's a lot more expensive than a regular ethereal. He's more expensive than a commander for the most part, well, a base commander, this kind of thing. So, you know, most people won't take him. However, I've actually been using him quite a lot. And because there isn't any kind of tactical videos on this guy, I really wanted to put in my input. So the first thing I should say is that Aun'shi is more powerful than a regular ethereal. He's got 3 wounds, he's got initiative 5, which is really nice. He's got 4 attacks, which again is really nice. His leadership 10. His weapon skill 5, which again is nice. So you can see he's kind of based for close combat. Now his base strength is 3, but he does have an honor blade, which means his strength 5. And his biggest drawback is that his toughness 3, and he doesn't have a save, so that's a bit of a drawback. However, what he does have is a 4-up invulnerable save from a shield generator, so he's actually got something there, and it's actually pretty nice. It means he's saving 50% of things, and you know, it works against any kind of power weapon, that kind of thing, so I'd rather have a 4-up invuln than usually like a 3-up armor save for the most part, but you know, pretty good. So the other things he's got, I should mention, is that he has photon grenades and EMP grenades. EMP grenades are really nice. That means he can even hurt walkers and things if he comes into combat with them. Especially if they have to be characters as well, because then he can get in a challenge, which we'll go over in a second why he wants to be in a challenge, but this guy always wants to be in a challenge if he can help it. And you know, if he's in a challenge, then he can use his invuln save. He's probably going first, and you know, he's got an EMP grenade, so he could actually like damage quite easily with his weapon skill 5. Damage walkers, that kind of thing. And he's also got photon grenades, so even if he gets charged against, you know, he's reducing the number of attacks they have in. And if you throw it, yeah, if you throw it at an enemy unit, then you know, he's got that chance of reducing them to weapon skill, ballistic skill 1, which is very, very nice. So there you go. Pretty good for his equipment. So now about the important rules, okay? So one of the things he has, which none of the others do, is that when he's fighting a challenge, he can choose a stance. So the 2 stances are, he's got the Patient Blade, and this is probably the one you'll pick most, which is where he rerolls all failed saving rolls until the end of the phase. Now obviously he has to be in a challenge for this to work, so it won't work while you're shooting at him and that kind of thing. But being able to reroll his 4-up invuln save is really nice. And of course it does say all failed saves, so if for some reason you can give him a different type of save, then he can reroll that too. Maybe you can buff his invuln save somehow. Honestly, I don't know with the Tau, but you know, it's nice. But for the most part, rerolling that 4-up is pretty good. In the same way that Uriah Jacobus for Sisters of Battle has usually a 4-up rerollable in combat, you know, that's actually pretty damn survivable for the most part. And that initiative 5 really helps, because at least he's attacking fast. The other stance he could do instead of rerolling is that he can have the rending special rule. Now, rending is a useful rule, but honestly, I never find it being that useful because, well, in practice I should say, purely because you need a 6 to wound for it to have any effect. Now, for the most part, If it's native, like if it was something you just had rending, then it's alright, especially if you have a lot of attacks, which are going to be doing a lot of hits, so you've got lots of chances to wound. Okay, then rending becomes quite powerful. The problem is when you only have a few attacks, and maybe you have to sacrifice something else for rending, like in this case, you're not getting to re-roll those saves instead. That's when it becomes an issue. So, because, you know, on average, you need to roll 6 dice to get 1 rend. And because most of the things that rending really helps against are the kind of things with invulnerable saves or feel no pain and that kind of thing anyway, it's usually not that useful. However, having said that, you know, if for some reason you're fighting against something, maybe you've got a lot of people in the unit which for some reason are going first, again this is Tau so it's unlikely, you know, then you could go for that. But for the most part, you're generally better off re-rolling your saves. Pardon me. Now, the other good thing about this guy is that he has the same invocation of the elements rule that regular ethereals do. And basically, most Tau players would know is you can give all the units with pulse weapons around you, you can give them an extra shot at half range, or you can give them a 6 at feel no pain, or you can let them snapshot after running, which is nice if you want to retreat. Or, you know, there's some other options. For instance, there's the one that gives the unit stubborn. Now what's good about Aun'shi is that he has stubborn as standard, which means you can save money on bonding knife rituals if it's with fire warriors, all that kind of thing. You don't need to pay those points because he's stubborn, so long as he's there. And of course you don't need to ever use that stubborn rule. So you basically get that for free as standard, which is nice, you know. It means you're not going to be running from combat particularly. And he's leadership 10, so that really helps as well. It means it's going to be very hard to break his unit. You would have to kill them all. Which could be possible. However, Tau tend to be quite hard to kill on the charge if it's a decent sized squad of warriors, purely because they have those defensive grenades. And if they're not running away as well, then, you know, they're actually going to be really hard to break. And with this guy in there, you know, he can tank usually the scary character and that kind of thing. Okay, so the kind of place you want this guy, in my opinion, is he wants to be on the front lines. Even though he is an ethereal, he's obviously more suited for combat than most. And he's a lot hardier than most, you know. 3 wounds, he's got a lot of attacks. He's actually got a fairly decent stat line in terms of close combat. So, you know, you want him in the front lines, usually with like breacher teams or fire warriors with pulse carbines in a transport, and then he can just zoom up with them. They can get out, they can unload. The next turn, you know, they've got assault weapons, so they can unload again and then charge and probably kill something. The best kind of units he is targeting is things like tactical marine squads, even bikes, this kind of thing. So, you know, your marine equivalent kind of things, your infantry squads where they aren't that good in close combat, even things like typhus zombies, you know, that kind of thing. You'll kill those on the charge. So that's the kind of thing you want to go against, is to mop those things up. And those are exactly the kind of squads that may have a power weapon or something on the sergeant, at which point you can challenge, re-roll your invuln save, protect the rest of the unit, and of course you'll be going first with like 5 attacks on the charge, for instance, hitting or freeze, which is nice. So and then you can even give him a 6 at feel no pain if you're just going to be taking a lot of hits. You know, or you can just give the other things, run away, be annoying. So yeah, he's actually pretty decent. He's one of those characters a bit like Cypher, in that the points they've given him, he's actually kind of worth those points. It's the points level which is just the right amount, where he's not too expensive but he's not cheap either. So you do kind of get what you want for him, basically. You get what you pay. Where this kind of goes wrong is that in the rest of 40k, there are so many good deals where you can pay a lot less points for very powerful things, you know, or maybe you pay more points, but, you know, it's such a cheap unit for what it does that, you know, you might as well go for it. And that's what kind of moves the margin for these kind of things like Cypher and Aun'shi, is because, you know, it makes them seem not quite as worthwhile. And that's usually why people don't take Aun'shi. But honestly, he is actually pretty good. If you were running a cheap, small point list, I should say, I would go for a regular Ethereal and give him an Honor Blade, and basically run him in a similar kind of way. But if you're going at higher point levels, you could do a lot worse than put Aun'shi if you've got a very aggressive, forward-moving Tau army, which is kind of how mine plays. Obviously, if you've got your traditional gun line and that kind of thing, Aun'shi doesn't really offer that much. He's not very good as a defensive character, despite his usual ethereal buffs. And honestly, he's not going to do much to hold up the kind of elite units that attack back lines. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, he wants to be going forward. He wants to be with a unit going forward, and the best place to put him, in my opinion, is with either the Carbines, Fire Warriors, or a Breach team. Now, I would actually say he's probably better with Pulse Carbine unit, purely because the Breach team probably going to be AP free anyway, which means the kind of squads they'll be shooting won't have much chance of surviving anyway, so he doesn't really need to be in that unit to charge, unless it's a particularly large unit, like Grey Hunters or something. The other good thing about being in a squad of Carbines is that, you know, he could throw a grenade or something, and they can shoot their Carbines and maybe get pinning off, at which point the unit you want to charge can't fire Overwatch anymore and obviously can't move, which is really nice. So yeah, these kind of things, you kind of stack everything in your favour with him. So you put him in a unit like that, for instance, and if you can pin a unit, reduce its weapon skill and ballistic skill to 1, then charge in after shooting, after, you know, softening up the unit, then you've stacked so much in your favour, and then you challenge, and of course when you reroll your invuln, you're going first, you've got a lot of strength 5 attacks coming in, you know, you're stacking things so much in your favour that basically you're going to wipe the unit or seriously cripple them to the point where you win the combat. And that's what he's for. He's a force multiplier style character, and he can do more than a regular ethereal, so I do honestly believe he is pretty much worth the points. But for the most part, he's difficult for most people to fit in a list, because people run gunline or they run many suits and that kind of thing, and he's not really going to add anything to those. So if you've got a regular infantry or flying fish kind of list, then yeah, Aun'shi is a good choice. And that's basically all I have to say on this fella. So if you like this video, remember to click like. Don't forget to comment below your thoughts on Aun'shi, etc, etc. Maybe you think I'm completely wrong, I'm used in completely wrong, or maybe you think it's just garbage and no one should ever take him. But yeah, let me know. If you have any questions, of course, let me know as well, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And don't forget to subscribe for more tactical videos of various different factions, I guess, and other videos as well, coming soon. So thanks for watching, see you next time.